Which is better to drive for in 2022, Uber or Lyft? Which are you going to make more money? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Tyler from the RideShare Guy. On today's episode, we're talking about which of the two big rideshare apps are the better one to drive for, Uber or Lyft. And especially with everything going on with the prices of gas right now, we want to make sure that we're making the most amount of money as possible. So which one of these is going to be better for you? So first, before we dive in, it's important to realize that this is going to be based on the market that you're in. So it may be different that in your market. So definitely do some research and find out. But these are some things that are overall going to be the same for just about everybody. But your market may be different. So take a look at what's going on in your market and find out. But here's some things to look at to make sure that you are the one that's making the most driving for the best rideshare app. Now, when I first started driving for rideshare, my goal was Uber. I had only ever heard of Uber, and I tried and tried, but at the time my car was not eligible because Uber had requirements that your car had to be a certain age, and mine was just a little bit too old. It was about 2 years too old, so Uber wouldn't let me drive for them at that time. Now, I had essentially given up on the idea of doing rideshare driving until I was talking with a friend of mine, and they mentioned this app called Lyft, that they described it as the same exact thing as Uber, but they have different guidelines for the cars. My car met the minimum requirements, and I was able to get out and start driving. So at that time, for me, Lyft was without a doubt the better one to drive for because I couldn't drive for Uber whatsoever. So whichever one you can drive for is going to be the one that's going to make you money. That's going to be the better one for you. Now, as time progressed, Uber changed their standards. I got new cars, and I was able to drive for both. So with that in mind, you have to take into consideration what we're talking about when we say which of these is better to drive for. What is the best? Now, of course, the number one thing people are concerned about is how much will you make with each one. That's what we mean when we say the best. We want to know if we're making more money with Lyft or more money with Uber. But more is involved than simply how much money you're making per mile, how much money you're making per minute. There's a lot more that goes into it. So, for instance, those things are important. Those are the base that you should be looking at. However, you also have bonuses, you have surges in the area, you have quests, you have all these other things that get you even more money. For instance, I just received a promotion for Uber where if I did 80 rides, I am guaranteed a certain amount of money. Now, that amount of money was about $1,000, which is pretty great. And I could actually do it for deliveries as well. But if you want to have guaranteed money, as well as additional promotions, as well as a possibility of making more money, because with guaranteed money, that's the minimum you are going to make if you reach that goal. So with Uber, if they have promotions going on, you can sometimes make really good money. I've even had one promotion with Uber where I was able to do 100 deliveries, and I ended up making over $2,000 because of the promotions and everything else that they had. So it was a really good time to make it. I was able to do it in just 2 weekends, driving about 6 hours, so 4 days. So I drove about 24 hours and made over $2,000. So with things like that, you're going to look at the promotions to see which of the two companies are going to have the better promotion and reason for you to get out there and start driving in the first place, on top of whatever they're making and paying you at the same time. For instance, especially right now, both of the companies have started giving you additional money for gas. Uber is typically 45 cents, though there's a few areas that it's 55 cents, and Lyft is at 55 cents, which with the amount of money that gas has gone up, doesn't seem like a lot, but every little bit counts. So the first thing you look at, besides the base pay and what you're going to make it from that, is the bonuses that you're getting at the time and what they offer, depending on each person. So each person's also going to get a different one in a different market. My wife and I both drive for Uber. We get different promotions every single week. Sometimes I will go a long time without getting anything. Sometimes she'll go a long time without getting anything. So each person in the market's going to get something different. But that is one thing you want to look at when you're trying to decide which to drive for, is which of these is giving me a better promotion so that I know that I'm making what I need to make right now. That's the guaranteed minimum, or if they have a promotion for a certain amount of money, you know you're going to make at least that much. Now, the next thing that you need to consider when it comes to making more money is, even if you're making less per ride, if you're not getting rides at all, then you're not making money. So if you're driving for one of the services and you get a $20 fare, great. But if you only get a $20 fare every 4 hours and the rest of the time you're sitting there waiting, whereas the other one you can get $7, $10, $15 fares and you can get multiple of those in an hour, that's going to be the better one to drive for, even if the other one has better fares. In my area, that has been Uber for a long time. When I first started, again, I mentioned I was driving for Lyft, and Lyft can get busy. Lyft will have nights where you're really busy. I always loved doing the early morning airport runs, the driving people to work, and Lyft, when I first started, was not great for that. I would sometimes go hours without getting a ride, and so it just wasn't the greatest. It's not the same now. You will get some still. You'll get a lot more now than when I started many years ago. But even still, Uber is definitely the one in my area. I'm going to get a lot more ride requests. I'm going to get a lot more of everything. Lyft doesn't have a delivery service where I can try to do for delivery, so I'm going to get a lot more requests from Uber than I ever will from Lyft. Sometimes twice or 3 times as many requests from Uber as I'll get from Lyft, even though those rides that I get from Lyft are going to be usually a higher fare. I'm going to usually get a tip from them, whereas I won't typically from Uber. So that part is better, but if I'm not getting the rides, I'm not making money. So for that reason, Uber's definitely a better option in my area. Finally, even though I find Uber in my area to be the without a doubt better one to drive for, because you're going to make more money, you're going to get more rides, which in turn means more money, you're going to get more promotions, again, it means more money. I still think that the best way to make the most amount of money is to drive with both. So while you're waiting for a request, if you have time in between, turn the other app back on. So you may only get 1 or 2 requests from Lyft a night, but that's a request that you weren't getting while you were waiting for a request from Uber. So I definitely recommend having more than one app running all the time, whether you're doing rideshare driving with passengers, whether you're doing deliveries, Instacart, and I even have sometimes all of those on at the same time just to see which one I'll get first. And that way I'm using less time waiting and more time making money. So without a doubt, even though in my area, Uber is the clear winner on which one you're going to make the most money with, you definitely still have ways of making even more money by using multiple apps at the same time. So we have other videos on the channel that talk about how to do multi-apping and different things like that. So definitely check those out. We really appreciate you guys sticking around. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Please leave a comment, and we read every single one of them. Let us know what your favorite, maybe your market's different. Tell us about your market, which one's better and why. We'd love to hear it. So please subscribe to the channel if you found this useful, and stay safe out there, everyone.